Hi, John Dixon here from the Centre for Public Christianity. We're talking with Mark Driscoll. Mark, you're one of the most downloaded preachers in the world, but what would you be doing if you weren't a preacher?
Yeah, if I wasn't a preacher, I think initially I intended to go into journalism. I wrote in high school and college, got a degree in communications with an emphasis in speech. So maybe television or print journalism, something of that nature, probably be what I'd be doing. Something in the media communication orientation.
So this presentation skill that you clearly have, you see it as just a natural skill rather than a kind of spiritual thing?
I think it's both and. Before I was a Christian, high school student, I did a lot of public speaking. I was student body president, would speak often to crowds of 1,500 kids, did crowds of a few thousand at different points for different events. So it was something that I did, and then I became a Christian at 19. And since then, have learned a little bit more and applied it to teaching the Bible and things of that nature. So I think it's both end. I think it was something that I had, just the way God made me. And then once I became a Christian, I think God helped me grow in those areas in some ways.
Some of our friends would hear the words American and evangelical in the same sentence, and suddenly think...
Not good words put together for men.
Yeah, Republican voting, bigoted, moralist. Is that the Driscoll story?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I don't talk about politics or voting. The city I'm in, Seattle, is about the same size as Sydney, where I've been for this month. Same percentage of Christians, Harbor Town, and in the last election, I think around 14% voted Republican. So to wave the Republican flag in my town is not a huge benefit. So we tend not to talk a lot about politics in general, and our congregation is young, 20-somethings for the most part, single, highly educated, and probably split right down the middle between political parties. So we're not a big political church. Yeah.
But leaving the politics aside, is the moralistic, narrow-minded connotation of American evangelical true?
Well, I think everybody's narrow-minded. They just think that the other team is wrong. But as far as narrow-minded goes, I don't know if it's narrow-minded. We have deep convictions, and we believe that certain things are beneficial to people and certain things are not beneficial. We believe certain things are acceptable in the sight of God and certain things are unacceptable in the sight of God. Those who would say we're bigoted and narrow-minded are probably being a little bigoted and narrow-minded.
In your ministry, you focus on young men. Why is that, and how would you respond to those who say, well, look, religion's already too male?
Well, statistically, it's not. Australia, like the States, the majority of those who are involved in church, mosque, synagogue, any kind of religious group are female. And the least likely person in Australia, as well as in the States, to be involved in any religious group is a man in his 20s. So between the ages of 18 and 34, that age group of men, particularly those who are single, they just pretty much statistically don't exist in religious communities. So, so I would say what they are doing is oftentimes causing a lot of trouble. Getting women pregnant, committing acts of violence and crimes. In our country, those are the guys who fill up the prison system, create lots of social havoc. And so my focus has been to really reach out to and to try and work with those guys because I think it's it's good for them, but it's also beneficial to the culture and to the cities if those guys turn from being deviants and difficulties to being servants of the well-being of the whole city.
So you don't think focusing on men marginalizes women in any way?
No, we're about half men, half women. And we're about half married, about half single at our church. And so statistically, we're kind of split right down the middle. I think a lot of women, at least that I deal with in our church, about a third of the women have been molested as children or raped as adults. And that's usually almost always at the hand of an uncle, a father, a brother, a boyfriend, a grandfather. And so the women that we have tend to appreciate the fact that we are trying to help and push men to be responsible, to be loving, to be considerate, because a lot of them have suffered some pretty extreme violence and abuse.
What convinced you as a young man to take Christianity seriously?
Yeah, I didn't until I was 19 years of age in college. And in all of my courses at the university, there was just discussion about Jesus. In sociology and history and philosophy, Christianity kept coming up as part of the discussion.
This is a secular university?
Secular university, yes. You know, Christianity's effect in history, Christianity's effect in sociology, those kinds of areas. So it got me curious. And so I started examining various religions, looking at their claims and their ideologies, took a few comparative religion classes out of curiosity, and then ultimately looked at the person of Jesus. And for me, it basically all came down to the issue of the resurrection. You know, if he beat death, that would be highly unusual, and if he didn't beat death, then he was just another moral example. And so that led me on a pretty intense study of the resurrection of Jesus and the historical evidence to see if in fact he did rise from death, and if so, that would make him incredibly unique.
Thank you very much.